Nyanpotato is an anomaly. Out of all the new-gen players, he's made a special name for himself, not only by improving incredibly quickly, but also because he's evolved into one of the most ridiculous speed players in the game. But with this ridiculously fast rise to the top, it's also left a lot of people knowing very little about him, despite being a top 10 player and the #1 mouse player right now. So, who is Nyanpotato, and what's behind the speed prodigy? Nyanpotato has the youngest account out of any player in the top 10 right now. This hurts so bad to say, but he joined after I did. This is why he's not only the youngest by a little bit, but by almost an entire year. He joined in 2019. It's frankly ridiculous. So, how did he find the game? Well, it was by watching a Russian Minecraft player and streamer called Nyanfusion, who also happened to play a bit of Osu. At the time, Nyanpotato went by Potato on My Pizza, and so after finding Nyanfusion, he decided to, fuse his name with Nyanfusion and become Nyanpotato. And when he started playing, he started very casually, but very, very quickly he latched onto farm maps. Like, Hamachi Clover was legit his first 100 PP. I think these early days are where newer players look a lot different from ones before 2018, and the farming renaissance. But as you may have guessed by his 2-year playtime, Nyanpotato definitely falls into the category of Prodigy. It took him 4 months to get his first 300. This is a ridiculously quick improvement. But to get where he is now, he definitely played consistently for these 2 years, right? No. He took 6 months away from the game to travel, near the end of 2019. So in actuality, he's only been playing for a year and a half. And after coming back from this break was when things really started to pick up. It would take him a little bit to de-rust, but once he did, it became clear just how stupidly quickly he was improving. Like 1 month after coming back, he was able to consistently get 300s. Then just 2 months later, he got his first 400. Then 2 months after that, his first 500. I wish I didn't have to mention this, but yes, 2 of them were on Hamachi Clover, and the other was on Just Add Ice. But like I said, new gen. Even with all of them being the easiest possible farm maps though, this kind of improvement is not normal. Around this time, he would also try and subsequently quit tablet. Why? Well, it was just too much work to switch, and honestly seeing as he was able to improve faster than any tablet player, literally ever, on mouse, I think it's reasonable enough that he really didn't see a reason to switch. He would then take another break, before coming back in rare form. He would immediately set a ton of 500s, and then a 700 on Lonely Go. One thing that stands out about this time is that while it's now a staple of his playstyle, he had no speed in his top ranks. But that really wasn't for lack of trying. Actually, it was quite the opposite, since he played similar amounts of both aim and speed, but had funnily enough not had a ton of luck with speed. But since now he's been labeled a speed prodigy, what happened? Well, it all comes down to his sort of shocking setup up to this point. It's actually ridiculous to me how MREC and Nyanpotato both improved faster than anyone ever on these crappy laptops. But at least in terms of speed, it would become abundantly clear that this setup was holding him back. He already sort of knew this, since up until earlier that year, he actually found to be much better for streaming. But when he not only stopped using this laptop's keyboard, but also got a mechanical keyboard, he seemed to become a different player. Since just a single day after getting it, he was able to get number 8 on the Deceit. Obviously, it would still take a while before he could compete with his aim plays, but Nyanpotato clearly had a huge amount of potential when it came to speed. For the time being though, his aim would also be forming him into a much more impressive player. He was consistently getting top plays every 2 or 3 weeks, and he quickly went from getting 1 700 to getting at least 1 every single time he played. And as this happened, his top play would go up extremely quickly, when he went from getting a 1x1 DTFC for 761 PP, then a Sego mode for 768 PP, then a 3 mod on Guess Who's Back for 850 PP, all within a single month. That isn't normal, especially once you're getting into the 800 PP plus range. And so it'd spark a bit of discussion about his legitimacy, but it stayed pretty civil. A few months would go by where he played a bit less, before he seemed to really come through with the massive amount of potential that he had. Since as time had gone on, his speed had kept getting better, and so had his flow aim, and it was starting to give him a lot of opportunities. but he'd yet to really be able to follow through on any of them, until he got his first really special score. A Zevel DTFC, with kind of questionable accuracy, but the score is still ridiculous. It felt like the first time in a long time we saw someone who was not only an aim prodigy, but also ridiculous on speed, since he was already legitimately one of the fastest players in the game. But as Nyanpotato was seen to emerge as a player, there was also something else going on. Probably the stupidest player controversy I've ever covered on this channel. The Nyanpotato insult incident, where someone took a joke video of someone who was not Nyanpotato playing on a private server with the name Nyanpotato and tried to cancel him using it. In the video, the person who was, again, not Nyanpotato, DM'd some rude things, and they used as evidence as to why he should be banned. They faked a bunch of screenshots and even DMs on the OSU website and tried to incriminate him. And some people actually believed it. I'm not sure how you think he's actually on the video, especially when it's blatantly time warped and on a private server. But what's even more shocking than this is that somebody made a fake cheating Discord server and put Nyanpotato in it to try and get Nyanpotato banned, which also luckily did not work. I'm honestly not sure what he did to provoke these people, but it's one of the most ridiculously blatant false allegations that have ever been thrown at a top player. But with all of this out of the way, Nyanpotato was free to play without being witch hunted. And that was what he most certainly did. Since just weeks after his Zevel play, he would begin setting top plays nearly every day, getting 821 PP on Imagination, 871 PP on Fiery's diff of Super Driver, and then 935 PP on the Rocket Launcher map. With these scores and a myriad of 800s, he would gain 30 ranks in just 2 days, doubling his rank. Almost immediately after this, he would also set a score that showed a ridiculous level of potential, when he would 7-miss the top diff of Storytellers with DT. I mean, he's basically just Gush at this point. Just a year ago, he was 30 missing the map with a B rank. On no mod. Yeah, he might have improved just a little bit since then. He would keep going and say 800s in nearly unmatchable consistency, the most impressive of which was definitely his 1-miss on Sotarks' 5150, which pretty succinctly showed how his amazing aim and now godlike speed could come together to give him the ability to set scores that no one else could. But all of this was really just a preamble before a much bigger score. Nyanpotato 980 PP. To put in perspective just how ridiculously quickly he was still improving, the score came only 2 months after his first 800, and it came through in showing that Nyanpotato really was something special. He followed this with a few stupid scores, like a 6-miss on Fiery's Kimi no Boken, which is only 10.3 stars, and then a 5-miss on I Bet You'll Forget Even If You Noticed, which has 292 BPM space streams at the end. Sadly though, he was only able to get 93%, which lost him a ton of PP. But his speed was improving by the day, and almost more importantly, his flow aim was improving by leaps and bounds. This let him gain a level of consistency on speed streams that few have matched, and also gave him the ability to pull off what was certainly his best score at the time. A Glory Days FC. This score is alright. It's just the first DTFC on one of the most infamous maps ever made. One that had been attempted by Vaxe, Emrek, Ryuke, Andros, and the list goes on. It made a whole lot of people realize that there was something special about him, and that he wasn't just an up-and-coming star, but instead someone who was already capable of competing with the heavy lifters. He would also follow this with a 900 on I Bet You'll Forget, where nerves clearly got the best of him. This made it a doable 1K map if you were just to have a bit more luck in the end. And I think these two plays outline pretty well what makes him so special, since he was consistent on speeds that reached nearly 300 BPM, but with aim that was also most definitely top 10. His speed was, and still is, just developing, which is honestly the scariest part. Like, remember when he got 93% on I Bet You'll Forget? Well, a week later, he got an entire percent higher than that, and also reached the top 10 in the process. And this is about when I reached out to Nyanpotato to make a video on him. And since then, he's been generating content. Nyanpotato 1K, 292 BPM, 1.3k PP choke. This is a score for sure. It's nearly purely speed, and with 94% accuracy in the second A rank, Nyanpotato seemingly did what I and many others thought impossible, and competed with Marami's monster score on the map. At this point, I'm 100% sure that as long as he keeps playing, he'll reach the top 3. He's a prodigy, the likes of which the game has seldom seen. And with the really interesting speed route he's been taking, there's an entire world of maps that no other top players can touch that are going to become possible sooner than you might think. Like, he just got a 94% on Moe Kai. And to put in perspective what a couple weeks from now might look like, he was getting 93% on I Bet You'll Forget, and then 1 month later, he was getting 97. I don't want to jinx it, but who knows when he'll stop improving at this ridiculous rate. And even though all this is speculation, if Nyanpotato can live up to even 10% of the potential that he has now, we'll be most certainly looking at a top 3, or maybe even top 1 contender. And I think that's pretty awesome. Pretty awesome.